Viewers, this is Dr. Qamar Cheema, and today there's some very important topic to have a view on, and that topic is that most recently on 14th, 24th of June, Chinese President Xi Jinping hosted a high-level dialogue on the global development. And that was basically a virtual platform, a virtual format, basically. Uh, and the theme was that Chinese President Xi Jinping wanted to promote global development and to wanted to have a paradigm shift in featuring a balance among great powers, more coordination, inclusiveness, and win-win cooperation. And there is also one Chinese jargon, what they call common prosperity. So these are certain points on which this high-level dialogue on global development uh, just happened. And one thing which many Pakistanis observed, and I think Pakistanis could not understand that why. There is no Pakistani representative in this high-level dialogue on global development. So, for instance, if President Xi pointed out that COVID pandemic has basically eroded global development, he's absolutely right. But Pakistan is a major partner of China in Belt and Road Initiative, in China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and if the Chinese are there, they want to implement and they want to work on the United Nations 2030 agenda of the sustainable development. And for that matter, also Chinese president wanted that we need to fight this north-south, or we need to reduce this north-south gap. So this is basically Chinese plan to give to many countries. So, in other words, China wants to assert itself, and China wants to establish its writ, and China wants to win over partners in the region. But when many Pakistanis realize that there is no Pakistani who is joining this, for instance, the president of Algeria was there, president of Argentine was there, Egyptian president was there, Indonesian president was there, Iranian president was there. Iran is Pakistan's neighbor. Kazakhstan's president, Russian president, and then many countries, be it from Cambodia, from Ethiopia, from Fiji, and even including the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was there. But Pakistan was out of that platform, and obviously there is something which many Pakistanis would not understand, that why Pakistan is not part of this high-level dialogue. And for instance, if China kept on saying in the past, and now they're talking that we have to increase South-South cooperation, and there is an assistance fund for the global development for the South-South cooperation, which I think they created $1 billion, and later on they made it $3 billion, committed basically $3 billion. But how that fund will be used, where this will be used, and why Pakistan is not part of that high-level development dialogue, where the Chinese itself have put a lot of money in Pakistan in terms of China-Pakistan economic corridor. So many Pakistanis would definitely realize that if you just look at from the Western lens, the Americans or the West European countries believe that Pakistan has put all its eggs in the Chinese basket, and Pakistan is becoming, let's say, the next Chinese colony. Someone is calling the Chinese military is coming in Gawada. So this entire impression of Pakistan is that Pakistan is China's partner, Pakistan is China's ally, and for that matter, Pakistan is getting there is a distance, there is a growing distance between Pakistan and the Europe and the West. But when it comes to the new initiative, this high-level dialogue on the global development, and Pakistan is exactly part of this South-South cooperation, where the developing world needs funds, where the developing worlds need support. It means that one can understand that why China didn't have Pakistan in that. One needs to dig more deeper and need to get a state perspective on that. But if you just look at from India, that India was also part of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, although that Indo-Pacific Economic Framework basically, which was kicked off with the 14 members initially, when I think the American President Joe Biden visited Tokyo in May last month. So India is a part of either this high-level dialogue on the global development. India is also part of this Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, so they are getting incentives from every side. So be it Quad, India is a part of the Quad. Be it I2U2, India is a part of that. So I think obviously there is something which Pakistan must think that there is some serious problem with this multilateral initiatives and the bilateral relations. So if this Indo-Pacific economic framework is helping for the trade liberalization and for the eliminating tariffs, these are things which obviously Pakistan would really like, that this trade liberalization can help Pakistan and eliminating tariffs can help Pakistan. But also we cannot be part of this Indo-Pacific economic framework because we have never realized that how much Indo-Pacific is important to us. I haven't heard any Pakistani leaders speaking on this developments in Indo-Pacific. So meanwhile, if you just looked at that Pakistan's economy is dependent either on the Western economies, because most recently I noticed that the European Union delegation is here in Pakistan and they have been meeting with the Pakistani authorities and asking that whether the Pakistan has signed the conventions or not, or whether Pakistan is in a position to implement those conventions which are necessary for the economic growth of Pakistan, and so that Pakistan can keep getting those incentives from the European markets. These are some really very important questions, and unfortunately, there was no news on Pakistani media that why Pakistan is not being part of this high level dialogue on global development. So obviously there must be some reason, and since largely people in Pakistan, they do not speak much on foreign policy, they do not speak much on national security. They are mostly busy, particularly the media is busy in terms of highlighting the internal fissures among the politicians, among the political parties. As I have been keeping, as continuously I have been saying that Pakistan's entire look is inward, and we need to look global. We need to look regional as well. So but Pakistanis are very much active when it comes to conspiratorial paradigms, the way the former Prime Minister Imran Khan created that America is basically behind us to create a problem, or to change a regime in Pakistan. So Pakistanis would like to buy such kind of theories, but Pakistan will not look into that how Pakistan is out of this high level dialogue on the global development. When Pakistan, why China, why India is a part of that. So India is a part of the BRICS as well. So many Pakistanis ignore that how Indian clout in the region and globally is increasing. But we keep on saying that we need to compete with the Indians. Yes, looking historical situation and looking the historical competition, Pakistan must maintain its national security, and Pakistan must look into its national security priorities. But at the same time, we need to put more money into economy, and we need to raise our GDP. We need to increase our purchasing power parity at the end of the day. So these agendas of Chinese President Xi Jinping, which they got the Iranians, which is Pakistan's neighbor. In fact, they got India, Pakistan's neighbor, but they excluded Pakistan. They included Central Asian countries. They included countries from Asia Pacific, but they believe that Pakistan is not a country which should happen in this high level global development dialogue. So it means that there is some serious problem in Pakistan's apparatus, and that problem is very much inward. And how to look at that problem, I think the Pakistani authorities need to really understand. Most recently, I was talking to someone from a Western country, and he told me that there are some industries which want to come in Pakistan, but because of the absence of favorable environment, sometimes the industrialists or those investors or the people who want to bring this foreign direct investment, they go back because they do not get that preferential treatment the way Pakistan gives to the Chinese. And if you will talk to the Chinese for all the preferential treatment which Pakistan gives, you will find that that preferential treatment only comes from a top-down approach. Whenever the people in the center, either in the military establishment or in the political corridors, they believe that this preferential treatment must go. So there is no bottom-up approach for creating a comprehensive, across-the-board environment for the foreign investors. And I think this is where is a challenge. So if this is the agenda for the sustainable development by 2030, Pakistan is exactly member of United Nations, where Pakistan believe that sustainable development should be across, should have a should be in every country. So, in my understanding, this initiative of the Chinese authorities for this high-level dialogue on the global development is very important. But what matters for Pakistan is that why Chinese are not taking Pakistan serious, that why Pakistan cannot be part of this global development, and why Pakistan, if for instance these knowledge networks are to be created, and if for example the governance experiences are to be shared, and if for example Chinese believe in mutual learning, and I think Pakistan can play a role. So I think will Pakistan's policy in terms of getting closer to the China, being at a distance from the West, has started giving us dividends, that we are neither with the West, we are neither with the Chinese, nor with neither with the West nor with the Chinese. So we are somewhere, creating our own space, where I'm unable to understand that how things will mature, because in the last 4 years, one major observation about Pakistan from the Chinese side is that Pakistan is not a serious partner, because the way the CPAC investment has just gone in vain. We have seen that there is no foreign investor which is coming because of looking the CPAC investment and the success of the CPAC investment. So I think such kind of a behavior from the Pakistani side has basically tarnished the image of the country, that and above all the security situation in Balochistan and at large, where even the Chinese investors who are giving preferential treatment are facing challenges. So at large, I think a whole of a nation approach is required from Pakistan, where how we have to move on, rather lamenting the international community that they don't put money in Pakistan. And one thing, when we talk about that we have to look things from the geoeconomics, then we have to shun this lens of geostrategic competitions, because if we want to look things from a geoeconomic competition, then we need to create that orientation in the society and the masses, for this geoeconomics. And for that matter, obviously, if there is a security, there could be economics, but that doesn't mean that we keep putting our diplomatic and political and security apparatus in the geo strategic competition, and we also want the geoeconomics to be at the forefront. So this is a very serious question, but largely because people do not speak much on Chinese, against Chinese in Pakistan, be it either the Uyghurs, the Muslims in Xinjiang, or be it if there is some news about the corruption or some bad management. For example, most recently, I think the Economic Coordination Committee told that 46% of Pakistan's foreign funded projects are not in good shape, and they are not delivering and working. So those that of the 46% of the foreign funded projects were the Chinese projects in that matter. For instance, if this was a $35 billion investment from the Chinese, and somewhere around $15 billion investment was not that fine. So in my understanding, it is Pakistan which needs to be more serious with itself. That's only the Chinese, Americans, and the West and the other countries will look us and take us more serious. Otherwise, this global development partnership which is coming from China, this Indo-Pacific economic framework, of which I am believe that Pakistan should go into the Indo-Pacific. Just yesterday, Pakistan's prime minister was talking in Karachi and in the passing out parade of the Navy, and he was saying that growing the role of the communication lanes in the sea, the role of the Navy has increased. But we only say that the role of the Navy has increased only in terms of when we speak about from the traditional security, but not from the lens of the non-traditional security, which is obviously economy, obviously environmental challenges and the climatic challenges. So I think Pakistan really need to put its head where actually there are resources. So that's the only way, in my understanding, Pakistan situation can improve. Otherwise, the way the Chinese ignored us, the West is ignoring us, and we believe, since Pakistan believes that Indo-Pacific strategies of the Western countries are anti-China, and Pakistan cannot be part of that. So, in other words, what the Chinese plan are for the high-level global development, Pakistan is not part of that. And there is one thing which is common, and that is that the world is not taking our policies and our priorities serious. If the world take our priorities and policies serious, things will be in much better position. And I think the Pakistani authorities, media must inquire that why Pakistan was not part of this high level development dialogue. Either the Chinese didn't invite us, or we didn't go because we didn't consider this a worthy forum for having a presence. Thank you very much.